Hey, what's up? I wanted to do a quick video dump of all the dead information and sort of catch everyone up on what's happening and what's about to happen because I've been quiet for a few months. I have been pushing the project forward, but it's been a little on the back burner. Other stuff has been taking up my time, but I've slowly been getting a few pieces in place, and now they're in place, and I'm super excited about what it's looking like. It's a lot cooler than I even thought it was going to be. So I want to do a quick update, and then hopefully moving forward, I'll be able to pump these updates out a little more often. And actually speaking to that, the first update is that my wife has successfully started down the NFT rabbit hole. And she is like the counterpart to me as far as social stuff and outgoing community focused stuff. Whereas like I'm more of like an internal sit behind the scenes and code kind of guy. She's more of like a people person, and she's gonna actually take over the community and be a partner on the project. So, which she's already been for a little while now, but she's gonna actually run more of the outreach, which will take it'll free my time up a lot, but also it's just not something I'm good at. So that should be cool. So she's kind of ramping up. I mean, she wanted to like test the waters in NFTs and see if she'd even like it, but she actually, I can tell she's fallen in already, and she's in deep. She's gonna love it. So she'll be doing that. And so both of us together have been coordinating with some really talented screenwriters. They actually want to remain pseudonymous for this build. NFTs aren't really their world, but they're like loving the contrast basically between their world, which is like Hollywood and Netflix and studios, and then the NFT world. And in fact, a quick little anecdote. I had a meeting with them last week where afterwards they told me that, and it's a two of them, it's two writing partners. Afterwards they told me that they had just had a meeting with their manager before meeting with me, and everything was dark and everything was like, no one's going to the movies, like streaming is this and that. And they were coming from a place of fear basically. And everything seemed really stressed and dark. And then they had a call with me where I was telling them about basically like, yeah, it's NFTs, it's experimental, like everything's new. And like every idea they had, I'd be like, yes, that's awesome. Yes, let's try that. And so they actually noted the huge contrast, which I really appreciated because that's what I feel like this project is. And so I'm taking like their talent and like their awesomeness with this. I mean, the stuff they produced, because they're pseudonymous, I don't know how much we're going to share, and I don't want to release it certainly now, but it's so good, and they're just like taking that into this project, and that's why I said it's so much cooler than they even imagined. So that's big news there, and so they're on board, and we're gonna drop like a teaser sort of in the next few days. I think I'm not sure exactly how long it's gonna take to get it all finalized, but that's gonna set the whole stage for what basically is it's like a weekly or bi-weekly unfolding story puzzle. So each drop, which I think we're talking about each week right now, but I in the back of my mind, it might be bi-weekly might be better, but we're going to drop like an artifact, like a piece of the puzzle to this broader story. And the story is based around these ghosts and how, something happens in these two neighboring neighborhoods and turns all the neighborhood kids into the animal ghosts that you see in the NFTs. So it's kind of the backstory with that. And we're uncovering, this mystery week by week. And so a lot of it's kind of plotted out like as a skeleton. But the second component of it is it's going to be community involved, like owner involved. So if you own a dead ghost, you can basically, what we're thinking right now is you'll be able to fill out their backstory, which will be like a prompted thing, and then submit that for a character. Like whenever we need characters, each week there'll be new characters and also some, larger characters that are spanning the whole thing. And so you submit, as an owner, you submit kind of a backstory, or you craft it, or maybe, we might need a certain type. Like I don't really know what it's going to look like, although I think the writers have a clearer idea of it now, and they're kind of running with it, which is really cool. So some form of submitting, some form of community voting, and then choosing the actual NFT as a character in the story, and then moving them into that story. And then at the same time, sort of like a choose your own adventure, we'll be doing something where there's some kind of choice. We maybe we do a drop and at the end there's a cliffhanger and there's some kind of choice for the next drop, something like that, where the community is involved again to vote and to sort of shape the story. So we have the skeleton, but really we're going to write the story with the community participation, because really they're going to be doing a bulk of the writing. The community side, we're going to try to keep it light and fun and just like a cool thing you can participate that does have a hand in shaping the story, that kind of thing. But ultimately, we don't want to make people do work because they're an owner. We want it to be fun. So so we're gonna trigger that whole series of events when it hits us, when we hit a certain amount of sales. And I don't actually even know the final total number yet, and I don't know the total number that'll trigger the story, but I have some ideas around it for how to make it fun and gamified. And so when the story triggers, if they're not all sold out at that point, the people that do own the ghost will have a better chance of like getting their character in, that kind of thing. And what I want to do is long term, which like I have to kind of disclaimer, I can't say anything officially about this because I'm trying to figure out the legal stuff. But basically what I want to do is somehow share royalties. And what it's looking like right now is it should be like some form of a DAO and tokenized system rather than like a traditional royalty. But the idea would be we'll own this Dead Ghost IP. There's going to be the story that we're going to own as a community probably. Or maybe the community will own a minority stake in the whole thing, since we're going to be doing like a lot of behind the scenes stuff to basically the goal will be to get this sold or take the next step to get this made. Because what we're producing right now is a really cool story. It's like an experience that goes along with these NFTs, but we might want to turn that into a series or turn that into a pilot or turn that into an animated series or something as the next step. So whatever that is, and however we end up either licensing or selling or anything with this IP, we want to give that value back to the token owners. I just don't exactly know how it's going to work yet. But like I said, I think some form of token will probably make the most sense. And, maybe we'll be able to find like a lot of other uses for that token, as far as like, because there's all kinds of opportunities for more NFTs that come out of this and more collections and more add-ons. Like one thing that I didn't talk about, this is getting kind of long, but I'm going to release additional artwork. Like for your existing NFT that you hold, once you buy a ghost, you'll get additional artwork. You'll be able to go to this site and actually choose if you want to swap that out for your main NFT artwork at any point. You can go back and change that. So we're going to do a lot of cool things, and that'll be based on the story. And then also based on the story, when things happen, we'll be releasing NFTs of, important points in the story or objects in the story or whatever. And then having collections of those will unlock different things. We're making the whole thing into this really fun like mystery puzzle game. And so adding tokens on top presents even more opportunity to just do cool stuff anyway. So it should be cool. So that's the story and the drop. The ghosts themselves, I don't really even need to talk about that much here, but they're like a crazy new style and it's really fun, and you get to actually choose it. You see it before you mint it. So it's not a random mint. You roll a ghost that gives you all the random stuff, and then you can change the background to whatever you like. There's a ton of background choices. And then you can actually pick a street in a neighborhood which corresponds with that story. So there'll be like limited amounts of, maybe there's 10 streets in 2 neighborhoods right now in this world. And so, whatever the total number is divided by 10, that'll be the max per each street. There's a little gamification all across it. And so the goal is to try to keep it open to do anything cool in the future with the IP. I mean, we're going to purposefully build narrative and IP. So it's not just a game. It's not just these NFTs and the artwork in a game. It's like there's going to be a main narrative that ties it together, but from there it can go obviously anywhere. So it's a similar approach that people are taking where they're trying to do more with their NFTs, but we're actually going to do the narrative and correctly build the IP first before we just branch out into a game or into, whatever. So I think that's pretty much the update. We're going to try to do an actual NFT drop pretty soon, but I think it'll be low key, so if you're in the Dead community, of course, you'll get notified. If you're in some of the other communities, you probably hear about it first, but I don't think it's going to be like a rush to mint situation, but we'll see actually, because the first thing that'll come out before the mint when we drop this first kind of teaser, I don't even know what to call it, but this first little information about the narrative, who knows, maybe there'll be a lot of hype at that point, and I'll change my mind there. But bottom line is, it's time to pick it back up. We're really like jazzed on this right now and motivated. My wife and I have been working together on it, and that's motivating. And then, you know, seeing what these writers have been doing over the last week, basically, but really over the last couple of weeks, has just been like super motivating. So I'm excited to share more. I just wanted to dump this all out in a video to kind of get this back on track, but hopefully I can be more consistent. And then, yeah, look out for more announcements and a mint, followed by this whole process of this narrative puzzle. Thanks for watching. All right.